Henrik Fexeus is a Swedish mentalist, communication expert, and international best-selling author. His work focuses on non-verbal communication, body language, and human psychology, particularly how people influence and read one another without speaking a word. Before becoming a world-renowned author, Fexeus worked in advertising and media, sharpening his understanding of how people respond emotionally to subtle cues. His deep interest in psychology, especially how we communicate without even realizing it, inspired him to write The Art of Reading Minds. The book quickly became a bestseller in multiple countries, earning praise for its practical approach to decoding human behavior. You don't need to be a mind reader to understand people. You just need to know where to look. That's the message at the heart of this book. Chapter 1. Mind reading is possible. Henrik begins with a bold statement. You already read minds every day. You just don't know it yet. From subtle glances to unconscious gestures, we are constantly sending and receiving information beyond words. Fexeus explains that real mind reading isn't about magic. It's about interpreting behavior, especially nonverbal signals. Body language, tone of voice, facial expressions, all these offer clues to a person's inner world. In this chapter, he sets the foundation. Everyone has the capacity to read minds. Most of us have simply forgotten how to pay attention. Learning to observe, rather than assume, is the first step. He compares human interaction to a dance, where most of the moves happen without conscious thought. To become better at communication, we must tune into the signals that others miss. Chapter 2. What people really think but don't say. Fexeus highlights that most communication is nonverbal. In fact, up to 90% of emotional meaning in a conversation is conveyed without words. He introduces a few key areas where people unknowingly reveal their thoughts. Posture. Are they leaning in or pulling away? Facial expressions. Are their eyes smiling or faking it? Voice tone. Does the emotion match the content? If the words and the body don't agree, believe the body. Henrik walks the listener through real-world examples, how a nervous tick, a delay before speaking, or even the way someone holds their coffee cup can offer insights into their mood or attitude. He encourages us to start observing people without judgment, just curiosity. Chapter 3. Rapport. The secret to influence. Next, Fexeus dives into rapport, the invisible glue of communication. When people feel a connection, their body language syncs, their speech patterns align, and trust deepens. He teaches how to build rapport using mirroring, subtly matching someone's posture, tone, or gestures, pacing and leading. First follow someone's rhythm, then gently guide it. Empathy, truly listening and observing to make others feel understood. Henrik stresses that this is not manipulation. It's about being present and responsive. When you create a space where people feel safe, they naturally open up. He offers a challenge. Pick one conversation today and focus on building rapport. Don't persuade. Just connect. Chapter 4. Decoding body language. Here, the book begins to unpack the details of body language, how to read it, and what different gestures mean. Key body language cues covered include arms crossed, often defensiveness or discomfort. Feet pointed toward the door. A desire to leave microexpressions. Fleeting facial expressions that reveal true emotion. Eye contact. Too little may suggest fear or hiding. Too much may signal dominance or dishonesty. Fexeus explains how context matters. A person with crossed arms in a cold room isn't defensive, they're just cold. He encourages pattern recognition over isolated interpretation. Don't rely on one gesture. Look for a cluster of signals. In this way, we begin to understand the emotional undercurrent of every interaction. Chapter 5. What you're signaling without knowing it. This chapter flips the mirror. What are you unconsciously communicating? Henrik emphasizes that your body speaks before your mouth does. Are you fidgeting? Do you avoid eye contact? Are your gestures open or closed? He shares techniques for becoming more aware of your nonverbal signals, including recording yourself during a conversation, practicing posture awareness, using slower, more deliberate gestures to project calmness and confidence. Confidence is a signal, not a trait. You can learn to send it. He also shares how to shift your emotional state through body language. Standing tall can make you feel more confident. Chapter 6. The eyes never lie. Henrik Fexeus devotes this chapter to one of the most powerful tools in mind reading, the eyes. He explains that our eyes reveal thoughts, reactions, and emotions more honestly than any other body part. Key insights. Pupil dilation often signals excitement or interest. Looking away may suggest discomfort or disengagement. Eye direction. Fexeus introduces concepts from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, where people's eye movements can reveal how they are thinking, visually, audibly, or kinesthetically. For example, looking up might indicate visual recall. Looking sideways could relate to sound. Looking down could suggest emotional processing or internal dialogue. But Fexeus is careful to note that context and baseline behavior matter. What's normal for one person may not be for another. The key is to observe changes, not make assumptions. He encourages readers to watch how someone's eye behavior shifts during specific topics. That's where the clues live. Chapter 7. The Language of Touch. This chapter explores the rarely discussed, yet deeply revealing language of touch. Touch communicates intimacy, trust, power, reassurance. Fexeus explains the different levels of touch in communication. Social touches, handshakes, shoulder taps, light greetings. Intimate touches, placing a hand on someone's arm or back during emotional moments. Dominant or submissive touches. How and where someone initiates contact can signal hierarchy. He reminds us that cultural context is crucial. A gesture that is friendly in one culture might be inappropriate in another. Touch builds bridges when used sincerely, but it can also create walls when misused. Fexeus advises observing how others respond to touch and always prioritizing comfort and consent. Chapter 8. Tonality and Vocal Cues. Next, Henrik focuses on the voice, the part of communication that's often ignored in favor of words alone. He breaks down vocal cues that carry emotional meaning. Pitch. Higher pitch can suggest nervousness or excitement. Pace. Rapid speech may indicate anxiety or enthusiasm. Pauses. Natural pauses show confidence. Rushed or filler-filled speech can show uncertainty. Volume. Too loud may signal dominance. Too quiet may suggest insecurity. He encourages us to not just listen to what people say, but how they say it. The tone of voice often carries more truth than the words themselves. He also touches on mirroring vocal patterns. slightly adjusting your own speech rhythm and tone to build comfort and connection. Chapter 9. Microexpressions. The Hidden Truth. This chapter dives deeper into microexpressions, the fleeting facial expressions that flash across someone's face for less than half a second, too quick to fake, too honest to hide. Fexeus describes how these expressions reveal core emotions: fear, disgust, anger, sadness, surprise, joy, contempt. He introduces techniques to start noticing them, watching high-definition video interviews in slow motion, observing people during emotionally intense moments, such as arguments or storytelling, practicing stillness to tune in better during conversations. Microexpressions are the cracks in the mask. They reveal the truth before the lie has time to form. He reminds listeners that catching a microexpression is not about accusation. It's about deeper understanding and empathy. Chapter 10. How to Listen Without Speaking. In this powerful chapter, Fexeus shifts the focus from observing to silent listening. He explains that great mind readers are also great listeners, not because they talk less, but because they listen deeper. They listen for hesitations, contradictions between voice and expression, emotional cues in pauses and silences, changes in body language before and after a statement. He teaches that true listening requires eye contact, stillness, an open posture, curiosity over control. When you listen without needing to reply, people will show you who they really are. He ends the chapter with a challenge. In your next conversation, say less. Observe more. Chapter 11. How to Influence Without Force. Henrik Fexeus makes a powerful point. The art of influence is not about control, it's about connection. True influence isn't loud or aggressive, it's subtle, empathetic, and grounded in trust. In this chapter, Fexeus explores how to influence others in a positive, ethical way by understanding their state of mind and aligning your communication style with theirs. Key strategies include pacing and leading. Start by matching someone's energy or emotion, pacing, then gently guide them toward a calmer or more productive state, leading. Framing. Presenting information in a way that resonates with a person's values or perspective. Priming. Introducing subtle cues beforehand to influence how someone receives a message. Example, if you smile and speak warmly before delivering feedback, the person is more likely to receive your words positively. When people feel seen and heard, they're more open to influence, not because you pushed them, but because they trusted you. Chapter 12. Controlling Your Own Signals. This chapter flips the focus inward. If we want to read others effectively, we must also manage the messages we are sending, often unconsciously. Fexeus teaches us to become aware of our posture. Upright but relaxed sends confidence and openness. Facial tension. Are you frowning without knowing it? Hand gestures. Open palms signal honesty. Clenched fists or hidden hands can signal defensiveness or anxiety. Voice tone. Calm, measured, and confident delivery makes people feel safe. He emphasizes congruence. Your words, tone, and body language must match. If they don't, people will believe your body over your words. Fexeus encourages practice. Rehearse your body language before important meetings or conversations. Use video recordings or mirrors to observe your nonverbal communication. You don't need to fake confidence. You just need to stop broadcasting doubt. Chapter 13. How to Build Trust Quickly. Fexeus reveals the secret ingredient behind effective communication: trust. Trust doesn't take years to build. In fact, it can be established in moments if you're intentional. To build trust, he suggests, consistency. Do what you say and say what you mean. Authenticity. Don't hide your humanity. People connect with vulnerability. Presence. When someone feels like your full attention is on them, trust forms almost instantly. He highlights trust-building behaviors: keeping eye contact but not staring, listening without interrupting, nodding to show understanding, matching the other person's pace or rhythm. Fexeus also points out the danger of fake charm. When people sense manipulation or hidden motives, trust collapses. Trust isn't something you demand, it's something you create, moment by moment. Chapter 14. When communication breaks down. Even skilled communicators sometimes face conflict or misunderstanding. This chapter teaches us how to recognize communication breakdowns, and more importantly, how to fix them. Signs of breakdown: crossed arms and minimal eye contact. Short, clipped answers, defensive or dismissive tone, avoidance or withdrawal from the conversation. Fexeus says when you sense a breakdown, pause the conversation and reset. Ask reflective questions. Can we pause for a moment? I feel like we might be misaligned. Use empathy. I want to understand where you're coming from. Reset body language. Soften your tone, uncross your arms, lean slightly forward. Every breakdown is an opportunity to build something stronger, if you stay curious instead of critical. He emphasizes that conflict is not a failure. It's a doorway to deeper trust, if handled with care. Chapter 15. The Power of Silence. In a world addicted to noise, Fexeus reminds us, silence is not empty, it's full of meaning. He teaches that silence gives space for emotion, encourages honesty, invites deeper reflection, creates a powerful presence. In conversations, silence is often when the truth emerges. He challenges us to allow longer pauses without rushing to fill them. Embrace silence after asking a question. It invites sincerity. Use silence as a sign of confidence and respect. When you stop talking, you start listening. When you listen, you begin to truly understand. Silence, Fexeus says, is the final and perhaps most powerful tool in reading minds. Chapter 16. The Psychology of First Impressions. Fexeus dives into one of the most crucial and often overlooked parts of communication: first impressions. He explains that our brains are wired to make snap judgments. In just a few seconds, we unconsciously evaluate someone based on their posture and stance, their tone of voice, their facial expression, the level of eye contact they offer, what they're wearing, and how they carry themselves. Fexeus emphasizes that you don't get a second chance at a first impression, and this impression sets the tone for all future interactions. Key tips he offers to master first impressions: stand tall and relaxed, shoulders open, offer a genuine smile, make natural, steady eye contact. Use a warm and calm tone. Mirror the other person's body language subtly. People decide whether they trust you before they even know your name. And once that judgment is made, it becomes the lens through which they interpret everything else you say and do. Chapter 17. Liar, Liar, How to Spot Deception. Henrik treads carefully into the realm of lie detection, reminding readers that accusing someone of lying should never be your goal. Understanding their emotional state is. Still, he shares several nonverbal clues that may indicate deception incongruence between words and facial expression, excessive fidgeting or freezing, forced or inconsistent eye contact, touching the face, nose, or mouth, frequently speaking in a higher pitch or slower pace. Fexeus stresses, these are only potential signs, not guarantees. Everyone reacts differently under pressure. He offers this principle. Look for clusters of behavior, not one isolated gesture. And he teaches how to gently test your observations by asking clarifying questions, watching for shifts in behavior. Rather than catching people, the goal is to understand when something feels off and respond with empathy, not judgment. Chapter 18. What makes someone instantly likable? Here, Fexeus shares the science behind likability and how to cultivate it authentically. He explains that likable people tend to make others feel seen and heard, show warmth before competence, smile with their whole face, not just their mouth, ask more questions than they answer, mirror the emotional tone of the person they're with, share vulnerability in a measured, sincere way. He cautions that being likable isn't about pleasing everyone, it's about being present, open, and genuine. Practical ways to increase likability. Use someone's name in conversation. Reflect their words to show you're listening. Match their pace and energy. Express appreciation for their input. We like people who make us feel good about ourselves. Likability, he says, isn't a trait. It's a skill you practice by caring. Chapter 19. The role of context in mind reading. In this chapter, Fexeus emphasizes a truth many forget. Context matters more than we think. A gesture that signals stress in one situation may be perfectly neutral in another. He uses examples. A person crossing their arms outdoors in winter is likely cold, not defensive. Someone who avoids eye contact in one culture might be showing respect, not hiding something. Fidgeting may be due to ADHD or anxiety, not deception. He warns against over-interpreting or labeling someone based on a single observation. To read minds accurately, we must consider the setting and circumstances. Observe baseline behavior first, avoid stereotypes or assumptions. Ask clarifying questions when confused. Mind reading without context is like reading a book with half the pages missing. Chapter 20. Ethical Communication. Fexeus ends this section with a powerful reminder. These tools come with great responsibility. Reading minds and influencing others is a deeply human power. It can be used to connect and uplift, or to manipulate and harm. He lays out ethical guidelines. Always prioritize empathy over control. Seek understanding, not advantage. Never use body language tricks to coerce or deceive. Respect privacy. Just because you can read someone doesn't mean you should. He encourages us to become ambassadors of ethical influence, people who use their knowledge to create safer, more open, more honest relationships. The most powerful thing you can do with these tools is help someone feel understood. Chapter 21. Using Mind Reading in Leadership. Henrik Fexeus now turns his focus to leadership, demonstrating how powerful nonverbal communication and emotional awareness are in positions of influence. Great leaders aren't just great talkers, they're great observers and listeners. They anticipate needs, adapt to group energy, and respond with intention. He emphasizes key mind-reading skills for leaders: empathy, sensing team morale and emotional dynamics, adaptability, changing tone or approach based on real-time feedback, congruence, ensuring what they say aligns with how they say it, active listening, validating others by paying full attention, not just hearing, but truly seeing. He notes that leaders who understand emotional undercurrents make better decisions, inspire loyalty, and resolve conflict faster. You lead people, not processes, and people respond to how they feel in your presence. He offers a tip. Before meetings, scan the room. Who looks tense? Who's withdrawn? Use this information to adjust your delivery and engagement strategy. Chapter 22. Parenting and Mind Reading. This chapter explores how parents can use emotional attunement to build stronger connections with their children. Fexeus explains that children, especially young ones, are masters of nonverbal communication. They feel first and speak second. So a parent's job is to recognize emotional cues, tone, posture, withdrawal, match their child's emotional state first, then guide them out of it. Create safe emotional spaces where the child feels seen. He offers simple practices. Mirror your child's facial expressions when they're upset, then slowly shift into calmness. Kneel or sit at their level to reduce perceived power distance. Name their feelings aloud. You look frustrated. Is that how you feel? Children learn emotional intelligence by being emotionally understood. Fexeus reminds us, reading your child's signals builds trust that lasts a lifetime. Chapter 23. Romantic Relationships. Seeing your partner. In intimate relationships, mind reading isn't a game, it's a gift. Fexeus teaches that many conflicts arise not from words, but from missed cues, misunderstandings, or misread intentions. He encourages paying close attention to your partner's tone and posture, noticing changes in habits or expressions as emotional clues, asking open-ended questions like, "What are you feeling right now?" rather than assuming. He emphasizes emotional validation, recognizing your partner's feelings without immediately trying to fix them. Tips for improving nonverbal connection. Make eye contact when your partner is speaking. Use touch to reassure, not to interrupt. Stay present. Put the phone down, lean in, nod gently. Love is felt not just in words, but in presence, posture, and gaze. Understanding your partner beyond words deepens intimacy more than any gift or promise. Chapter 24. Everyday Conversations. This chapter is a practical goldmine. Fexeus offers simple habits to apply mind-reading skills to daily life, work, social events, even small talk. Tools include calibration. Before diving into conversation, observe the person's neutral state. That's your baseline. Pacing, match their emotional energy, then slowly guide it to a more open or comfortable state. Echoing. Repeat their last few words or tones subtly to signal alignment. Mirroring. If they lean forward, you do too. If they relax, you soften as well. He reminds us that every interaction is an opportunity to connect deeper, even brief ones. When people feel like you get them, they become more open, honest, and appreciative. These micro-adjustments don't just help us read minds, they help us create moments of belonging. Chapter 25. Refining your senses. Fexeus knows this skill set is not mastered overnight. It's a lifelong practice, but it begins with awareness. He invites readers to watch people in silence, at cafes, parks, meetings. Observe posture, energy, and facial tension. Limit your own talking. Let others reveal themselves. Journal your observations. Over time, patterns emerge. Ask for feedback. Did you feel heard just now? Was I being clear? Practice with intention. Choose one skill to focus on each week, like eye contact or detecting vocal shifts. Your intuition sharpens through observation. The more you watch, the more you know. He closes this section with encouragement. The gift of mind reading isn't reserved for psychics. It's built into all of us. We simply have to wake it up. Chapter 26, Mastering Emotional Intelligence. Henrik Fexeus defines emotional intelligence, EQ, as the ability to recognize, understand, and manage both your own emotions and those of others. In mind reading, this is a cornerstone skill. He breaks it into 4 major components: self-awareness, recognizing your own emotional state in real-time self-regulation, managing reactions and staying composed, social awareness, sensing the emotions of others through subtle cues, relationship management, responding to others in a way that fosters trust and cooperation. Fexeus emphasizes that emotional intelligence can be trained, just like a muscle. He suggests daily practices, reflective journaling about your emotional reactions, mindful breathing exercises to center yourself, checking in with others. How are you really feeling today? Practicing empathy, putting yourself in others' shoes before responding. Mind reading without emotional intelligence is like flying without wings. You might lift off, but you won't stay up. Chapter 27, Decoding Group Dynamics. This chapter explores how people behave differently in groups than they do one-on-one, and how to read those social cues. In group settings, people adopt roles: the leader, the supporter, the rebel, the peacemaker. Fexeus teaches you to observe who speaks the most and who's listened to, notice who others make eye contact with after jokes or decisions, identify who interrupts and who defers, pay attention to body language clusters, who leans toward whom, who crosses arms. These patterns reveal power structures, alliances, and underlying tensions. He offers this practical tip. In every group, someone holds the social key. Identify that person and you understand the room. He also warns about groupthink, where people suppress disagreement to fit in. Reading subtle discomfort, like forced smiles or minimal head nods, helps you spot it and invite healthier dialogue. Chapter 28, Understanding Charisma. Fexeus peels back the mystery of charisma, that magnetic quality that makes certain people instantly engaging. He argues charisma is not a gift. It's a skill built on presence, energy, and empathy. Charismatic people tend to make others feel special, use expressive, congruent body language, speak with warmth and certainty, listen more than they speak, use storytelling and emotion to connect. He explains that charisma isn't about being loud or dominating. It's about focusing fully on the person in front of you. Exercises to develop charisma. Practice storytelling with emotion and vivid detail. Record yourself speaking and refine your tone and expressiveness. Observe charismatic leaders and mimic their energy and posture. Charisma begins when ego ends. It's not about you. It's about how people feel in your presence. Chapter 29, Credibility and Believability. Fexeus transitions into the world of credibility, how people decide whether to trust or believe someone. He reveals 3 key ingredients: authenticity. Do your words match your actions? Confidence. Are you grounded and composed, not arrogant? Consistency. Do you behave similarly in different situations? He explains that people unconsciously scan for micro-signals of honesty, such as a steady voice, genuine facial expressions, calm, open body language, willingness to admit when you don't know something. On the other hand, over-explaining, fidgeting, or over-smiling can trigger suspicion. Fexeus encourages us to own our truth, not to act a part, but to align fully with our message. The fastest way to earn trust is to be exactly who you say you are. Chapter 30. Final Thoughts. The Gift of Awareness. In this concluding chapter of the section, Henrik brings it all back to awareness. He reflects that the ability to read minds is not about magic. It's about being present, noticing the details others miss, and listening with more than your ears. He encourages us to slow down, observe without judgment, practice compassion toward others' hidden struggles. Approach every interaction with curiosity, not assumptions. He closes with a reminder. The more aware you become of others, the more human you become yourself. Mind reading, at its best, is about connection, not control. Chapter 31. Practical Applications in Business. Henrik Fexeus opens this section by showing how powerful mind-reading tools can be in business environments, especially in sales, negotiations, and leadership. He explains that in high-stakes settings, people often say one thing but mean another. A good communicator listens for what's not said. Examples include a client saying, "I'll think about it," but pulling away or showing hesitation with body language, indicating likely disinterest or discomfort. A colleague nodding while their arms are crossed and their posture is tense, suggesting agreement on the surface but internal resistance. Fexeus shares tools for closing deals and navigating boardrooms. Mirroring a client's tone and pace builds trust and connection. Noticing hesitation cues gives you the chance to ask follow-up questions. Is there anything you're unsure about? Reading group hierarchy in meetings helps direct your energy to the true decision makers. In business, people make decisions based on how they feel, not just logic. By tuning into emotion and expression, professionals can respond with empathy and win trust. Chapter 32. Mind Reading in Therapy and Coaching. Fexeus explains how therapists, counselors, and coaches can benefit from heightened emotional perception. In emotionally sensitive contexts, clients may struggle to articulate what they feel, mask their emotions to avoid vulnerability, express inner conflict through subtle, unconscious signals. Here, reading the unspoken becomes essential. Fexeus encourages practitioners to pay attention to shifts in tone when approaching certain topics. Note if the client's body becomes stiff, eyes look away, or speech slows. Name and mirror observations. I noticed your voice got quiet there. What's coming up for you? He reminds us, creating emotional safety allows truth to surface. The goal isn't to analyze, but to understand with compassion. This emotional fluency can lead to deeper breakthroughs and stronger client trust. Chapter 33. Social Navigation and Friendships. In everyday friendships, being able to read people helps us become more thoughtful, intuitive, and connected. Fexeus shows how to handle group tension, misunderstandings, friends pulling away emotionally. Often, when a friend withdraws or changes behavior, it's not what they say, but how they act that speaks volumes. For example, less eye contact, shorter, colder responses, hesitant body language when making plans. Instead of confronting harshly, he suggests checking in gently. I've noticed you've been a bit distant lately. How are you feeling? Fexeus also emphasizes expressing warmth physically, e.g., light touch on the shoulder, leaning in, mirroring to affirm understanding. Listening with presence, not fixing, just being there. True friendship deepens when people feel truly seen, not judged, but held with empathy. Chapter 34. Real-world case studies. To bring everything full circle, Henrik shares real-life stories of how people used his methods to improve their communication. Story 1. The Negotiator. A manager struggled to close a deal with a corporate client. She noticed the client would tap their fingers and break eye contact whenever pricing came up. After gently probing, she discovered price wasn't the issue. It was the timeline. Once addressed, the deal closed. Story 2. The Father and Son. A father learned to recognize signs of anxiety in his son: biting nails, avoiding eye contact, withdrawing to his room. Instead of disciplining, he began naming and validating emotions. Their bond grew significantly, and the son started opening up. Story 3. The Team Leader. A team leader noticed friction in his staff despite no open conflict. He observed that 2 employees would avoid sitting near each other. Through one-on-one chats, he discovered a silent disagreement. By facilitating a calm conversation, he restored team cohesion. Each example reflects a core lesson. It's the unseen that often matters most. Chapter 35. Training Your Mind-Reading Muscle. Henrik closes this section with a challenge. Train your awareness like a gym workout. He offers a 7-day practice plan. Day 1, observe strangers' posture, guess their mood. Day 2, practice silence in conversations, just listen. Day 3, try mirroring subtly in a chat and note results. Day 4, look for incongruence, where words and body don't match. Day 5, ask 3 people how they're really doing. Day 6, reflect on your own emotional signals. Day 7, journal key lessons and moments of insight. He stresses that growth happens not from knowing, but from doing. Every interaction is an invitation to connect more deeply. Accept it. Chapter 36. Influencing without manipulation. Henrik Fexeus makes an important distinction in this chapter. The goal of reading minds is not manipulation, but influence through understanding. Influence comes from alignment. When your message resonates with the needs, values, and emotions of others. Fexeus shares ethical influencing techniques, matching emotional tone before presenting ideas, asking questions that guide people to their own insights, framing information in a way that connects to their motivations. He warns against coercion or trickery, stating, manipulation may win a moment, but it loses trust. Influence earns long-term loyalty. The art lies in seeing where people are and walking with them, not pushing them. Chapter 37. The Energy of Groups. Groups generate energy. Fexeus explains that skilled communicators learn to sense, shift, and direct that energy. In meetings, gatherings, or social settings, notice the emotional tone: tense, excited, skeptical. Who's driving the conversation? Who's checking out? When the room needs a shift, maybe a joke, a pause, or a new direction, to lead group energy, start by anchoring calmness in yourself. Your state influences others. Use nonverbal cues, tone, posture, to reset attention. Call out and name the emotion in the room if needed. I can sense some hesitation. Can we talk about that? Groups are emotional organisms. If you lead the emotion, the group will follow. Chapter 38. Self-reading, turning the lens inward. Fexeus flips the focus inward now, how to read yourself. Understanding others begins with understanding your own emotional signals. Start with body awareness. Tension in your shoulders or chest may mean stress. Clenched jaws may signal frustration or control. Shallow breathing often means fear or anxiety. Fexeus encourages daily emotional check-ins. What am I feeling and why? Tracking patterns. When do certain emotions show up most? using posture consciously, open body, open emotion. He reminds us that we constantly send signals to others and ourselves. Learning to decode and redirect your own state is a superpower. You can't read minds if your own is a mystery. Chapter 39, Building Relational Safety. Here, the book emphasizes the safety of presence, the sense people get when they feel emotionally safe with you. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being non-judgmental, validating people's emotions even if you don't agree. Listening without needing to fix Fexeus outlines the foundations of psychological safety. Attunement, tracking someone emotionally and adjusting your presence. Containment, staying grounded when others are distressed. Transparency, sharing your emotional state honestly when appropriate. People open their hearts when they don't feel at risk. If people feel seen, respected, and emotionally safe in your presence, they'll connect deeply and authentically. Chapter 40, Overcoming Resistance. Fexeus explains how to handle situations when people resist communication, especially in emotionally charged conversations. Instead of pushing harder, he suggests, stepping back, give the other person space. Acknowledging resistance. It seems like this topic is uncomfortable. Inviting participation. Would it help if we talked about this later? Staying calm and congruent even when facing anger or deflection, he reminds us that resistance is information, not a barrier. It tells us something is important or painful. The goal is not to win, but to understand the message behind the wall. If someone withdraws, don't chase them. Invite them back with presence and patience. Chapter 41. Fine-tuning nonverbal intuition. In this chapter, Henrik Fexeus explains how to refine your nonverbal sensitivity, the silent cues we all constantly give and receive. Nonverbal communication includes posture, eye movement, microexpressions, gesture flow, spatial behavior, how we position ourselves in relation to others. The key to decoding these signals isn't just knowing what they are, but learning to notice them in real time. Fexeus suggests, observe without judgment, stay neutral. Look, don't label. Practice in safe spaces. Watch people at a cafe or in TV interviews. What emotion precedes their words? Use comparison. What changed before and after a particular comment? Your subconscious already sees everything. Train your conscious mind to interpret it. By building awareness over time, your intuition becomes faster and more accurate. Chapter 42. Mastering Mirroring. Fexeus deepens the concept of mirroring, a foundational tool in mind reading and connection. We naturally like people who reflect our body language, tone, or rhythm. It creates a feeling of being in sync. But mirroring must be subtle. Avoid copying. Instead, echo movements or tone. Delayed. A few seconds between their movement and your match helps avoid detection. Inclusive. Match more than just posture. Consider energy, emotion, pacing. Fexeus breaks mirroring into categories: physical, posture, facial expressions, gestures, vocal, tone, volume, speed, emotional, mood, attitude, intensity. Used consciously, mirroring becomes a bridge to empathy. When someone feels mirrored, they feel safe and validated. Mirroring says, I see you, I'm with you, you're not alone. Chapter 43. Reading Subtle Mood Shifts. Advanced practitioners of mind reading, Fexeus says, can sense emotional shifts almost instantly. These mood changes often happen before a person is even aware of them and show up in pupils dilating, a micro-tightening of the mouth, brief downward glances, slower or shallower breathing, shrinking or expanding personal space. The trick is to baseline the person first, get a sense of their normal state. That way, you can notice what deviates. Fexeus reminds us, changes are always more telling than static behaviors. If someone suddenly closes their body, pauses speaking, or breaks eye contact, it's a signal. Ask yourself, what triggered this? Was it a word, a gesture, or a memory? What emotion could be behind it? Reacting to these subtle cues with kindness and curiosity helps build deep, trusted communication. Chapter 44. The Limits of Mind Reading. Fexeus is careful to acknowledge that while powerful, mind reading is not foolproof. Everyone brings their own cultural context, unique trauma histories, personal quirks and habits. This means not every crossed arm, defensiveness, not every lack of eye contact, dishonesty, not every smile, happiness. Instead of jumping to conclusions, the art is in hypothesis, then validation. Ask clarifying questions like, you paused just now. Did something feel off? You seem to pull back. Should we explore that? Reading minds doesn't mean assuming. It means inviting more truth into the space. Stay humble, stay curious, and you'll avoid misinterpretation. Chapter 45, Integrity in Practice. Finally, Fexeus ties advanced mind reading back to personal integrity. The goal isn't to win interactions or be one step ahead of others. It's to connect, uplift, and serve truth. He outlines what integrity looks like, using insights for support, not control. Respecting boundaries, emotional and physical, admitting when you misread someone and learning from it. He encourages using your skills to create safer spaces, help others feel understood, facilitate healthier conversations. The most powerful person in the room is the one who listens the deepest and acts the kindest. Chapter 46. Applying Mind Reading in Romantic Relationships. Fexeus begins this chapter by stating that romantic relationships are the ultimate playground for practicing emotional intelligence. Romantic partners often communicate through a mix of direct words, body language, subtle emotional shifts. Misunderstandings occur when partners stop paying attention to the nonverbal side of communication. Fexeus suggests, observe how your partner's expressions shift when discussing emotional topics. Note recurring physical cues when they're tired, frustrated, or anxious. Validate even small nonverbal signals. You seem a little distant. Are you okay? He reminds us that true intimacy doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from being present and perceptive, moment to moment. The people we love most deserve our deepest attention. Chapter 47. Public Speaking and Stage Presence. The principles of mind reading can dramatically enhance public speaking, according to Fexeus. He explains that a great speaker reads the audience's energy, adjusts based on body language feedback, uses their own nonverbal cues to lead the room emotionally. Look for leaning in versus crossed arms, facial responsiveness or disengagement, breathing patterns of the group, yes, even that. Fexeus offers tips. Use open body language to invite connection, mirror your audience's energy, then gently lead it forward. Make eye contact in triangles. One person left, one center, one right. Repeat. A speaker doesn't deliver to a crowd. They connect with many individuals at once. Chapter 48. Rebuilding Trust Through Body Language. In emotionally tense relationships, verbal reassurance often isn't enough. Trust is rebuilt non-verbally first. Fexeus outlines how to use body language to rebuild safety. Keep your gestures open and visible. Avoid sudden or aggressive movements. Sit or stand at an angle rather than directly head-on. This feels less confrontational. Match their breathing subtly. This subconsciously synchronizes emotional state. When words fall flat, posture and presence speak volumes. He gives a powerful reminder. Consistency in small signals rebuilds broken bridges. Trust isn't earned through one apology. It's regained when your actions match your emotions consistently over time. Chapter 49. The Role of Environment. Fexeus explains that environment plays a key role in how well you can perceive and be perceived. Settings that are noisy, distracting, make it harder to read and connect deeply. He recommends creating emotionally supportive environments, especially during difficult conversations. Soft lighting, comfortable seating, minimizing background noise, face-to-face alignment rather than screen-to-screen. Also, note how people behave differently in public versus private. Understanding these environmental cues can prevent misinterpretation. The space between two people is shaped by the space around them. Chapter 50. Putting it all together. In this integrating chapter, Fexeus recaps the key pillars of effective mind reading: presence, slow down and tune in; observation, notice posture, tone, microexpressions, changes; empathy, feel with, not for the other person; validation, reflect what you see and feel to create connection; responsiveness, adjust your energy and communication to meet them where they are. The most important thing, he insists, is practice. You won't master this overnight, but by applying these principles consistently, your relationships, conversations, and influence will shift profoundly. Reading minds isn't magic, it's a skill. And like all skills, it grows with love and repetition. Chapter 51. Identifying communication breakdowns. Fexeus opens this chapter by stating that most communication failures aren't because people don't want to understand each other, but because they are not tuned in to emotional cues. He identifies early signs of breakdown: abrupt tone shifts, defensive posture, arms crossed, leaning away, avoiding eye contact, forced politeness, masking discomfort. Fexeus encourages us to pause the interaction when tension rises. Name the shift gently. It seems like something changed. Did I say something upsetting? Focus not on being right, but on reconnection. Repair begins when recognition happens. Even in difficult conversations, a moment of presence and emotional accuracy can reset the entire dynamic. Chapter 52. Listening with your whole body. Listening, Fexeus explains, isn't just about your ears, it's about your entire presence. To truly listen, turn your full body toward the speaker. Keep an open posture. Match their rhythm, breathing, tone, tempo. Use nonverbal affirmations like nodding, soft smiles, leaning in, but most importantly, don't interrupt the silence. Fexeus writes, most people talk past the emotional point. True listeners wait for the truth to arrive, even if it comes quietly. Body listening says, I'm with you, even without words. And sometimes, that's all someone needs to open up. Chapter 53. Advanced feedback loops. Once trust is built, you can start to engage in feedback loops, where both parties influence and attune to each other emotionally. Fexeus explains, a feedback loop occurs when your posture, tone, or emotion causes a shift in the other, and vice versa. The better attuned you are, the more quickly you notice these micro shifts. This loop creates an emotional dance that fosters connection even in silence. He recommends calibrating in real time. If you raise your voice and they stiffen, soften immediately. Testing responses. Say something vulnerable and observe their reaction. Reinforcing safety. Mirror their comfort level. Don't push past it. The goal isn't harmony at all times, it's responsiveness in the moments that matter. Chapter 54. Reading mindsets, not just moods. Most people focus on how someone feels, but Fexeus encourages us to read how someone thinks, their mindset. For example, do they think in images or words? Are they problem solvers or storytellers? Do they respond better to logic or emotion? Observe the metaphors they use. Their decision-making style. What triggers their enthusiasm or hesitation? Fexeus writes, understanding mindset helps you speak their language, not just emotionally, but cognitively. Once you identify someone's processing style, you can tailor your message to resonate deeply. Chapter 55. Mindful detachment. In this near-concluding chapter, Fexeus reminds us that while empathy and connection are powerful, emotional boundaries matter. Mind reading does not mean absorbing everyone's emotions as your own. Instead, stay centered in your own body. Take mental breaks after intense interactions. Use grounding techniques, breathing, movement, silence. Know when to observe without engaging. Compassion doesn't require merging. In fact, it's stronger when you remain whole. By practicing mindful detachment, you can continue to read others clearly without losing yourself. Chapter 56. Turning practice into habit. In this final chapter, Henrik Fexeus emphasizes that the art of reading minds is not a magic trick. It's a discipline developed through consistent, mindful practice. To make these tools a habit, he encourages daily observation exercises. Take 5 minutes a day to quietly observe people's body language, facial expressions, or interactions in public spaces. Reflective journaling. After conversations, reflect. What nonverbal cues did you notice? Did anything surprise you? Deliberate application. Set small goals like, I'll focus on breathing sync in my next meeting, or I'll pay attention to hand gestures during our conversation. Fexeus compares mind reading to learning a language. You must immerse yourself to become fluent. Fluency in emotional signals turns ordinary conversations into powerful experiences. Chapter 57. Real-world applications. Henrik offers examples of how this skill has helped people in diverse areas. Business leaders who close deals by reading subtle hesitations and addressing them before they're voiced. Teachers and parents who build trust with children by responding to non-verbal discomfort or confusion. Couples who repair tension faster by noticing changes in tone or distance. Therapists and coaches who use these tools to sense what clients cannot yet say. No matter your profession or background, the ability to read people with precision and compassion is universally transformative. Chapter 58. Final reflections. In closing, Fexeus reinforces that reading minds is not about control or superiority. It is about tuning into the emotional landscapes of others, meeting people where they are. His final words are as much an invitation as they are advice. Stay curious. Stay kind. Lead with presence, not performance. And never stop listening to the words and to the silences between them. When you learn to read minds, what you're really learning is to love better, listen deeper, and connect more fully with the world around you. Therapists and coaches who use these tools to sense what clients cannot yet say. No matter your profession or background, the ability to read people with precision and compassion is universally transformative. Chapter 58. Final reflections. In closing, Fexeus reinforces that reading minds is not about control or superiority. It is about tuning into the emotional landscapes of others, meeting people where they are. His final words are as much an invitation as they are advice. Stay curious. Stay kind. Lead with presence, not performance. And never stop listening to the words and to the silences between them. When you learn to read minds, what you're really learning is to love better, listen deeper, and connect more fully with the world around you. Conclusion. What to do next. As this audiobook-style summary concludes, here are some next steps you can take to apply the art of reading minds. Practice daily presence. Even just 5 minutes of focused attention will grow your skill. Experiment gently. Use mirroring, observation, and emotional calibration in conversations. Reflect often. Ask, what emotional shift just happened? Or, what didn't they say that I felt? Continue learning. Revisit chapters or explore related works in communication, empathy, and nonverbal psychology. Remember, small improvements in awareness compound over time into extraordinary emotional intelligence. And as Fexeus would say, every signal tells a story. Thank you.